Wanna get weird? The Witching Hours is your home for all things paranormal, supernatural, and unexplained. You can find us live on the Spirit Realm Network at spiritrealm.net and on Twitch. Or catch us later wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us at thewitchinghourspodcast.com for all the weirdness. There you can check out previous shows, upcoming shows, purchase merch, and more. Now, get ready for The Witching Hours.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird. This is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever and whenever you are listening to this program. I am Frosty, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny?
I'm here, and I think I'm okay.
Yeah, we've had some busyness going on, so a little bit.
It's been a little busy.
It's been a little busy, but that's good. I mean,
this week's gonna be a little less busy. So
yeah, time's kicking. We're heading into the spring season. We talked about that with Allison. Things were going to begin moving.
Yeah,
and things definitely have begun to move. We are not in winter mode anymore.
No more hibernating.
So there we are. I just want to take a second to welcome everybody in tonight. Thank you for joining us right here on the Witching Hours, your home for the paranormal and supernatural and all the woo-woo stuff. We're excited to have you here tonight. Things are going to be a little bit different tonight, but we'll get to that in just a second. One thing I want to talk about real quick is the Witching Hours is on the Spirit Realm Network. And you can now find the Spirit Realm Network, and you can watch this program and many others using the Roku app. So if you go on your TV and you need the Roku app, you can download, you can look it up and find the Spirit Realm Network, download that on your TV, and you have access to not just the Witching Hours, but a bunch of other wonderful shows that are coming, already airing and getting ready to start airing on the Spirit Realm Network. And there's some big surprises that I can't talk about that are coming pretty soon, but definitely something to keep an eye on. So download that Roku app, go get everything ready today so you're ready to go with the Spirit Realm Network. And as always, it's very helpful wherever you're listening to us, wherever you're watching us, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, whatever you can do there, like, subscribe, leave reviews, anything you can do is a huge help to the program. If you enjoy listening to us, then just do us that small favor. Leave us a review. If you have good things to say, don't talk about how I misspoke and said Reese's Pieces or whatever. Just leave us a good review if you so choose. And of course, the like and subscribes and shares are always important. So we thank you in advance for that. All right. So we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. Our guest is going to come on first tonight, and then we're going to do the weird news, and we're going to talk about some stuff we have coming up on afterwards. So let's go and get started. Heidi Kemper is a psychic medium located in Southeast Michigan, where she has her own private practice. As a psychic, Heidi accesses her clients' Akashic records and gives them divine information and divine guidance about their past, present, and future. As a medium, Heidi channels messages to her clients from their loved ones in spirit. She also channels messages from spirit guides, guardian angels, and higher level beings. Heidi is a healer and is trained in shamanic healing, a registered nurse by profession. She has always been drawn to helping people who seek healing. Heidi offers Reiki and shamanic healing modalities such as soul retrieval, essence retrievals, and energy clearings of people, places, and things. In 2023, Heidi was the guest psychic medium on season 12 of the TV show The Ghost Finders, which we've talked quite a bit about on this show. After the experience, Heidi began traveling the country, attending paranormal and metaphysical conferences, performing gallery readings, and giving private readings. Please welcome to the show and returning to the show, Heidi Kemper. How are you doing, Heidi?
Hi guys, good. How are you? I'm so happy to be back. Yay!
Yay. We love you, Heidi.
I love you guys.
Yes,
Friends.
excited. Yes, we are
Yes.
friends now,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
First time I got on here, we had just met, and we had such a good time. I think friendship formed that last episode, and
Yeah.
we've done a lot of fun things together since. So
We have.
love to be on
Yeah.
here with you guys.
Yeah, we have. And we were just talking before the show started tonight. We'll have some more times to be able to hang out this year. So we're looking forward to that. We can talk
Yes.
about that a little later. All right, Jenny, we were talking earlier and you said that there were some questions you still had from the last time we had Heidi on.
Yes,
So do we
I
wanna-
re-listened to your first episode that you were on with us, which was a long time ago now. It was like February of 2025.
Okay.
Really?
That was
Okay.
some
So like
time
14
Little over
ago.
a
months
year,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need a little refresher. Let me refresh our memories. So in that episode, we talked about the shift, the new earth shifting. And we were also talking about death because we had talked about your experiences as a nurse and
Mhm.
and having to deal with deaths, etc. And we were also talking about how we don't handle death very well in our country. But you had said a couple of times when we were having that conversation that you felt like through this shift in the new earth that we were going to start dealing with death differently. How do you see it changing?
Well, good question. Love that question. I think the first thing that I've noticed, and Jenny, like, you can probably attest to this too, because you're also a medium. With the frequency of the planet increasing, and us having access to the fourth and fifth dimension now on the Earth plane, it feels as if it is happening, that the souls are crossing over faster, and they want to talk like the day of or the next day, like super fast. So it used to be, and I still honor the 45-day rule. So I have like a
Mhm.
rule. They say like 3 months usually, but like 45 days for sure. You should not interrupt souls after they pass, because they have to go through the whole death process, orienting to heaven and reviewing their life review. And if they died in a tragic way, their soul really needs that time to recalibrate. But what I'm finding is that souls are coming through like very, very early. And I'm having a lot of people reach out and want to do readings right away. And I have to say the 45-day thing, but I am able to check in and make sure that they've kind of made it over to the other side.
Mhm.
And, so far so good. I haven't had anybody, have any issues. It's a faster process, and it makes sense. It's just like, it's an easier transition because our frequency of the planet's elevating. It used to be you could only access the fifth dimension when you went to heaven, or if you went to a medium and they were accessing that dimension. As mediums, we're reaching up. We have to
Yeah.
increase our vibration. They have to kind of come down so that we can bridge that gap. And I just feel like it's sooner. But the other thing that I see is that we're going to be getting better at death. I know that, as a nurse, medical schools are doing a better job educating physicians on those crucial conversations. As nurses forever, we've been trying to push physicians and push the medical field into having more honest conversations with families about the death process. There are some physicians, some more than others, that really have a hard time having that conversation. And nurses have always been good with that. We've always been good
Mhm.
of, identifying when people are getting close to the end and when those conversations need to happen. So I think in the medical sense and in like the mainstream sense, that's changing. But I know that I have a lot of mediums friends that are going in to learn becoming death doulas,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
helping through that process. And it's something that I've even considered doing, mixing my medical and my spiritual together and doing like a death doula type role, or starting a business where I can employ nurses to do that. I think there's going to be a big need for that, but you don't necessarily have to be a nurse. I think mediums, we deal with death on a daily basis. It's not
Yeah.
something we're scared of. We don't shy away from it. We're very comfortable with the topic. So that's, I think, in a nutshell, how I see it being different.
Cool.
You know, when you learn a new word and you've never heard the word before in your life, and then the second you learn what this new word is, you
hear
start
it
seeing it everywhere.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened with me with death doula. I'd never heard that term before, and then we had
Yes.
our friend Kim Sage come on, who was a death doula, and now all of a sudden, in my consciousness at least, it's exploded. And so I think you're right on with that. This is a term that's being used a lot now. People are becoming more familiar with it, and it does seem like there's a huge need for that right now.
Well, and as we're able to access the fourth and fifth dimension here, it's, the way that I understand it, what's been shown to me is that when our loved ones cross, it's eventually going to get to the point where like our bodies are becoming more crystalline and not as solid, not as dense, and that we're going to be able to interact with our loved ones on the other side, like much differently, not having to necessarily go into a meditative state, because we can be in between that level of consciousness, to the fourth and the fifth. And so I think it's fascinating. And I think that death should be celebrated because it's part of life. When we birth babies, we've got celebrations and it's a joyous, happy time. And when someone ends their life, we need to celebrate that too. We need to celebrate that soul and the things that they gave to the world, and how they changed the world just by being here. So I think it's just as special of a time. And as a nurse, to have been at the bedside of people when they passed, for me, the kind of nursing I did was critical care and in the cath lab. So a lot of my patients were extremely sick, and we were basically trying to save their lives. So I haven't had as many quiet bedside moments with people at the end, but I've had my fair share, and it is a very sacred time, and I think it should be treated that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of this brings up the ideas that I've had about death. And I, just kind of thinking out loud, I've had these conversations with Jenny as well, which is, for me and my family, I feel like deaths were always like a very somber event, with very sad and somber funerals. And that was an expected behavior and possibly a learned behavior, I think, on our part. And Jenny and I have kind of openly talked about how we kind of wish that some of the funerals that we've gone to would be more of a celebration, especially when someone's lived a really good and full life. I think there's definitely moments where tragedies occur, and so that's one thing for sure. But I wonder if sometimes that's just more like uniquely American, or somehow connected to kind of our
Culture.
puritanical, culture. Yeah. But maybe a shift in that, and maybe the death doula and those kinds of things can bring back more of a shamanic way that we treat death.
Yeah, for sure. I got chills when you said that. Yeah, for sure. The shamans always treated, there's death ceremonies and things that you can do at the end of someone's life, and I just think it's a beautiful time, and to be able to witness it with somebody that you care about and love, it's special. Does it make it any easier? No. I mean,
No.
being a medium, I like I said, I could talk about death all day. It doesn't scare me, but the reality is, I don't want to lose people close to me that I love. I don't want to not have them with me on a daily basis. You know, my dog passed away back in December. It was super hard.
Mhm.
It doesn't make it any easier. The reality of it all is it's part of life. It's a hard part of life, but, you know, our life should be celebrated and it shouldn't be looked at as something bad. But it's always had a taboo tint to it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
So the next thing I wanted to get into, I think this can go multiple different ways. And it stems from conversation that we had in person at one point, and I don't even remember really what the conversation was about. But I know that we were both like having a realization or a revelation that some of the things that we were experiencing through our readings was kind of changing the way that we thought about things. So my question is kind of twofold. First, do you feel like there's any updates on our shift from the last time we talked to you? Have you gotten any new information? And then also just in general information and evolution through for your personal mediumship over the last year.
You know, I feel like people are more open and receptive to the opportunity to connect with those who have passed. I think it's becoming more mainstream. I feel like people are calling me more for a mediumship reading than they are for a psychic reading anymore. People really want to make that connection. And as far as the new earth and the shift, it's crazy going through it because I am seeing people around me who, you know, I could never have conversations with about who I am. And it's pretty much who I am now on a daily basis. Like, if you know me, if you're in my circle, I talk about this stuff all the time. It's just who I am. It's part of breathing for me. And I just feel like more and more people, I'm seeing people waking up and being like, yeah, I know there's more to this. There's still there's still the skeptical ones, but
Yeah.
there's other ones that were skeptical that are just like blowing my mind, just how they're talking, how they're showing up, how they're speaking, how they're having, you know, revelations. And to me, it's exciting and it's hopeful. It gives me hope for the future. And my kids, I just went on spring break with my daughter. We went last month to the Dominican Republic. She's graduating from high school this year. And a bunch of the kids in her class went on the trip and everybody brought a parent. You had to bring a parent, not like when we were kids and our parents would let us go. And
yeah, different times.
Yes. And these kids are just blowing my mind. How they look at the world, how they look at humanity, how they very non-prejudiced, very open-minded, accepting. I mean, these kids, they give me so much hope for the future. And, you know, my son's 5 years older and his college buddies, you know, talking to his group of friends, the same thing. But my daughter's only 5 years, you know, younger than him, but they're that much more awake. And now these little toddlers and these babies, and I do readings for people, and these babies and toddlers are born awake and they remember who they are. And it's fascinating to me that they're born without karmic debt. A lot of these souls are coming in, remembering who they are, knowing the truth of everything. So to me, I think that's just fascinating. And I also have had a shift on my thought process of past lives. So now I'm being shown that, you know, as we talked about before, you know, you could go down a whole rabbit hole when you talk about past lives. For me, I used to understand it as linear, but now with time, I know time is not real. Like, I know it's not real because I experience it all the time. Timelessness all the time, which is why I'm late for everything. So it was at least 5 minutes. But
There's
That can be
no
my
time.
excuse too,
Yeah.
Heidi. Yeah.
I'm not late. There's no time.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't be late. There's no such thing as time. But I think that I'm finding that mind blowing too, and I've been wanting to learn quantum healing. So Dolores Cannon's standard quantum healing course you can take it, but you can't do virtual and distant readings. You have to do them all in person. So there is another course that is quantum healing, but I believe it's called quantum healing. It's the same thing. It allows you to do it in person. So it's still everything you're going to learn in the Dolores Cannon, but you're allowed to do it remotely, virtually. Because I travel the country, Once I entered the paranormal world, I have traveled all over the country. So I read for people all over. I mean, not just in the country, I read internationally too. And I want to be able to reach more people. But I've been really drawn to that and wanting to learn quantum healing and just the whole idea that yes, past lives are real, but they're all like happening now. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah. Yes.
And then how we can change. I'm being shown how we can change things. And it's almost like the decisions that we make now can then the whole idea, I think we talked about this the last time about healing, that when we go through healing and we work on ourselves and we heal things like from our lineage, like our DNA, within our DNA, we heal these imprints on our DNA that are from our ancestors, our relationship with money, or the way that women, are honored and cherished within different, within the family. As we're healing those things, it's changing, not just in this lifetime, but it's healing backwards and forwards. I find all that fascinating. And as time becomes less relevant, more and more things are presenting themselves to me on a daily basis. And it's just like mind blowing. Yeah. Like there's never a dull day. Every day there's something new.
Exactly. And I've had that's what we were talking about. It was the past life stuff. Because I've had the same exact thing happen. Like we just use the wrong words for it. It's not past lives, it's lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then it makes sense why certain people, they come into your life and there's just this instant recognition and there's a want and a desire to, have a strong relationship with them in this lifetime, but maybe this lifetime it hasn't worked. It's fascinating to me. It never gets old. And
it's really hard to wrap our minds around.
It is.
It's almost impossible.
It is.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like if you don't know a word, you've never heard a word before, and then you learn the word, next thing you know, it's in every sentence. Or if you've never heard of a car and you see a certain car and you're looking at cars, next thing you know, every car on the road is the same car you're looking at getting. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of those things you don't know until you know. And then when you know it, it's like, whoa. So for me, I'm all about learning new things. I'm a total Gemini. I love to learn everything. I love conversations as a Scorpio about death and transformation and the unknown. And so for me, it's like, we chose to be here now. Everybody says that. Everybody who's here chose to be here now. And I'm like, hell yeah, I chose to be here now. Like, this is fun. Like, what's next? I can't wait to see how good it's going to get,
Well, I'm glad you're optimistic.
Yeah. We have to be. We have to be, because that's all my guys keep saying. And that's all the spiritual teachers keep saying. I have a lot of podcasts that I listen to on YouTube, and that's where my podcast is right now. You guys know I have a podcast, Scorpio Rising. It's been kind of on hiatus, and I'm going to start picking it up again. And I'm actually talking to a couple different possible platforms to put it on, which I'm super excited about, because we need to get out there. We need to talk about this more. We need to connect and create community, because, if we don't know that this is happening for us, that things have to collapse so that we can rebuild things to be better. If we don't know that, it's so scary. It's a scary time. But if we know that and we can share that information, there's a way we can work with the energy.
I said the exact same thing to Frosty last night. Things have to crumble for something new. And the crumbling is scary and it makes us feel off balance, but it has to happen. CMC has a question.
Hold on 1 second. Let's get to CMC's question, but I wanted to be, because I don't want to skip past this, because we had a little Team Weird hangout last night.
Yep.
And it's like one of those there was a very good representation of what we were just talking about. We did some readings of like looking into, just as a group of Team Weird, kind of hanging out in a video chat of what was going on with some of these missing scientists and stuff that have been going on in the news. And when I drew tarot, um, and we got lots of positive cards, and it was kind of talking, it's like rainbows and sunshine, and like, this is where we're going.
2 people got the 10 of Cups card.
Yeah, me and CMC.
Yeah.
Chills. Great.
And it was like very much, I was just, when I drew the cards, I was kind of thrown it back a little bit, because I was like, here I was expecting kind of expecting a little bit of negativity of what's going on with this, but it was very much like you and Jenny were talking about, hey, look, like things have to happen, but we're heading to a better place, and this is one of those things that has to happen for that to occur.
Yep.
So we're seeing this a lot.
Well, and it's still a choice. It's still a choice right now. So we have 2 possibilities. We have 2 roads we can take, right? It's still our choice. We have the free will choice, but there's going to be a point, how I'm understanding it, there's going to be a point where it's just like, okay, this is it. And the split's going to happen. And those that are there are going to go to the one reality and then the other reality. So how I'm understanding it, how I'm seeing it is, there's one's a better place than the other. And so I know,
and you can't be on the fence either. You have
can't.
to pick a side.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you understand it, Jenny, as far as like when this is going to happen? Because
I don't know.
People say different things.
That's why I was asking you, because I hear so many different things. Everybody is experiencing the understanding of it differently. So, if I just tapped into my own higher self and asked, I'm sure I would get like crystal clear answers, but taking in everybody's information, it's very confusing.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's like a snap or if it's a gradual. To me, it just feels like we're still in the transition.
Yeah.
But how long is that going to be? I don't know.
Because it's so much. It's almost like our mind has to adjust to it. It's kind of like what I said when people pass away and they have to adjust to the other side and orient to heaven, and like their frequency needs to readjust. It's the same kind of vibration. We have to adjust to the new way of being and learn how to, and allow our minds and our nervous system to understand it too. Right?
Yep.
This is where I'm at right now. And Jenny's like, hey, you have to stay positive. Like the systems have to crumble in order to be built back up again. And then it kind of goes to me, the historian, who says, okay, I understand that. As a historian, we have to understand that systems don't crumble and get built back up again in a matter of days or even a few years.
Yeah.
So,
it takes time.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what happens with this is going to be something that's going to take a considerable amount of time. However, we just got off the topic of there is no such thing as time.
Right.
Right. So for us, I think
maybe it can be instantaneous, some of the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for us in the corporal body, it's going to seem like this is something that is going through a process of having to be reestablished over years. But for the people who, are outside of that, it's going to be something that just seems like it was instantaneous.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go ask CMC's question now. Why is it recommended to wait 45-ish days to contact the recently departed if there's no time on the other side? And I understand the no time concept.
And I understand, what was the last sentence?
He does understand that there's no time.
Okay.
But he was wondering why it should be 45 days.
Well, I mean, if I just say it's because what I learned, I mean, that's the true, honest answer. I learned that from my teacher. So, that's not a really good answer. But I was taught that way, and I've learned to respect that and hold that. I have gone into readings, before that, when I used to say 3 months, and some souls were still not ready to come through, depending on how they passed. So, for me, it's a safety place, because nothing would breaks my heart more than if somebody wants to make a connection with somebody and they come and they sit with me and they waited the time I said, and then they still can't make the connection. So, I guess, you know, for me, it's a respect thing. It's a respect thing. When you go through something major, if somebody has a new baby, you know, you wait until they say, okay, I'm feeling up for visitors. You're not just going to go knock on the door and show up and be like, okay, I'm ready to talk. Right. So it's also kind of a respect thing. I think for me, like how I look at it, you want to give that soul time to want to communicate and want to talk about it, because it is a process. You know, I look at this consciousness and us talking about us learning how our brain like has to learn how to download the information. You know, we get these downloads. I talk about this all the time with my boyfriend, and he laughs at me. He's like, you're getting another download? Okay. What does that mean exactly? I'm like, my ears ring and then stuff's transmitted and then I just know stuff after. And he's like, okay, whatever. But the way I try to explain it to him, it's kind of like when a diver goes down in the ocean and they only can go down so fast. That's kind of how, and then when they come up, they can only come up so fast, right? Because then the oxygenation and the gases in the blood get funky and you can die. Like it's very unsafe. And it has everything to do with oxygen exchange. I look at it the same way, kind of energetically, with souls after they passed, that soul has to recalibrate and, you know, take a couple naps, even though you don't have to sleep in heaven, because it's not necessary. You don't have a body that you have to sleep and heal and all that.
Like a rest time, though.
You know, like a rest time, like a reset time, like where they're ready to talk, because it's a transition. So
yeah, I found that it varies, and I've even heard Chip Coffey say that he waits 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, 6 months is his time. But you know, I've done readings for someone that they weren't asking for somebody specific, and I had their person come through and they're like, they died 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I was like, what? You know, like I had no idea, you know.
The lady that I took care of the last year, she passed away in March. She came through to me like literally, you guys, like 3 days later, like mind blowing. So it's happening faster, but I still am keeping that just kind of out of respect and just like a vibe that I get. Like, I kind of like, you know, they'll be like, I'm really worried about them. I want to make sure they cross, you know, I can check in, but I'm not gonna disturb. It's like, and I've seen that before. The do not disturb sign. I've seen that before. Like a stop sign, do not disturb, like healing in progress. You know, I've seen like clairvoyantly.
I've had other spirits come forward and say, yeah, they're here, but they're working, and kind of give you a little update, you know, but like they're not ready.
Representative. Yes, I get that. I get representatives a lot, like a grandmother figure. And a lot of times the first time they come through, like just the other day, I had the granddaughter of the woman I took care of come and do a reading. And she was hilarious because she's like, okay, what's 45 days? We're at the funeral home and she's looking at her phone. Okay, 45 days is April such and such. She's like, I want to make an appointment. I'm going to take that day off, you know. And she came in and we did a reading, and she was brought in by one of her best friends, brought her in and kind of showed her how to do the full thing, you know. So usually when they're newer, they've always got somebody that kind of brings them in. Some souls are just like, hey, I got this, you know, I'm good. But a lot of times they'll come in with a parent or a grandparent or a friend, somebody that's been there a while, kind of knows the ropes and kind of teaches them how to do it.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Gotta relearn how to do it.
I've always heard that idea that there's some kind of waiting period that has to happen. It seems like too, it's just a matter of like respect to a certain extent. Like there's things that they have to do. And then also like, I feel like to a certain extent, it should be up to that person, spirit, however you want to refer to that, to be able to determine how they're going to lay out, like who they're visiting first.
Right.
You know, cause like I knew like, I was younger when my first grandparent died, and he came back very quickly, just a few days later, to visit my grandmother at night. And so like they have their own schedule of stuff they have to do, I imagine. So having a time frame, I mean, whether it's 2 weeks or 45 days or 6 months or whatever, I feel is just kind of being respectful.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah.
Right. So did I answer that question okay? I think I
Yeah,
did.
I think so.
No, you
Yeah.
answered it completely wrong. We want a better answer.
It was your experience, Heidi. There's no wrong answer.
Okay.
So I have a different question. Let's switch gears here.
Sure.
So last time you were on, we talked about bartering readings for each other, and we actually did it at Hanover Tavern Paracon.
Yes, that was so cool. You did amazing. Loved it.
And as well as you did. And just to give everybody a little preface of what Heidi's reading was for me, because that'll make sense for the question I'm about to ask. Her reading for me ended up being like a psychic reading where she was kind of picking up on things that were going to happen in the future. And a lot of it had to do with my children and things like that. But one of the things that you kept talking about, and I had never heard this before, and I understood what you meant, but I wanted you to explain it a little bit more. You were talking about these option lines for future children to come into the world.
Yes.
And it was like it's like the way that you made it seem, it was like some kids, it was like already written in the contracts, like these kids are coming. But then there was like these option lines where like there was still a choice. So will you kind of explain that for us, please?
Sure. So the way that that I read it, the way that I can explain it like energetically is before we're born, we have our soul contracts, like with different people. We have contracts with them. Okay, you're going to be my husband in this lifetime, and you're going to help me learn patience, or you're going to, be my sister in this lifetime, and we're going to have a challenging relationship. And a lot of times it's to balance karma, past life karma, things that have happened in other lifetimes to, create balance in this lifetime. But a lot of times women will put in men too, they put in their chart an option line for a third baby, a fourth baby, whatever. So the first time I ever heard that concept was from another psychic medium. This is before I really knew I was like I could do this. I didn't really understand, looking back, that I always had the gift, and then learning how to harness it and then apply it. And she explained to me that I had an option line for a third baby, so that if I didn't want to have any more, that I better do everything I could to pretend, to make that not happen, because like this soul was like around me and wanted to be born. And if I did not choose to have this soul, that my brother or a friend or a cousin or somebody in my circle would then have that child. And so I would have this child eventually in my life, but it was an option line if they would be my child, or if they would be a niece or a nephew or a friend's child, kind of a thing. So I had my son, and then we had a baby that we lost in between my son and my daughter. We almost didn't have my daughter. She was my third pregnancy. And, it took us some time to get the guts to have another baby, because, the baby that we had a condition not compatible with life. And we chose to, terminate the pregnancy because it was putting my life at risk, and she would be stillborn. And it was terrible. It was an awful experience. And so we decided to have our daughter, and I was like, she had said that. And so I always thought the option line was my daughter, Meredith. But then I went back to her, and she's like, you still have that option line. I'm like, I've had 3 pregnancies. She's like, but this child still wants to come in. So there's like this third one that was still hanging around. And I was like, gosh, darn it. But, so we don't always know everything. And I think sometimes, even as a psychic medium, we're not supposed to know everything. I can go to a psychic, I can have you tell me things, but I don't think we're always supposed to know everything. I think there's certain things that just have to have an element of surprise, an element of mystery. And for me, it was like, okay. And for me, like looking back, now that I know that the store is closed, there's no more children that will be, grown in this body, that's closed. I'm closed for business. Okay. Okay, universe. And, now that that door is completely closed, it's like, okay, now I know what they meant, but evidently there's another soul. Now, my brother had a little girl who, I tell you, she could be my daughter. She's got a really sweet, funny, hilarious little personality. Is it her? I don't know. Is it my friend's daughter that came, unexpected baby, her bonus baby at 47? I don't know, but to me, it's fascinating. So that's how I read it. And I read now, once I start doing readings for people, I see that in people's charts. Oftentimes I'll see option lines, or like spirit babies, or babies that, were never supposed to make it to the earth plane, but you're supposed to go through the pregnancy, and that they still are attached to you, like in your spiritual circle. Like my friend Rob Thompson, medium Rob Thompson, he calls them, what does he call them? I just almost said it, and my brain just went. Moonbeams.
Cute. Yeah,
because they're always like there, and they're like in your circle, and they're supporting you. But when I tune in, that soul has been born. So
Yeah, I've seen that too with children that didn't make it to actually being born. Their soul is still part of the person's life.
Yep. I mean, because it has a big impact, that whole experience for me made me a much better mom, made me really appreciate the gift of motherhood, the gift of life, the honor it is to bring a soul in this world and help guide them through life, and hope that, you do all the right things, and you tell them everything, and you said everything you're supposed to and done everything you're supposed to. Right. So, yeah.
We actually have a comment and a question over on the Spirit Realm Network page from Paula. It was explained to me, we're going back to the in between lives.
Yes, the time frame.
Yes. It was explained to me in a term of a soul sort of being in a spirit hospital, so to speak, acclimating to their new energy and light without form. So also taking time for that life review process. Does that resonate, or is it something that you've heard of as well?
Yes. So what I've been shown is that when souls pass, one of the first things they do is life review. But one thing that has changed that I've been taught, and I've heard from many spiritual teachers, is that life review is happening now while we're here on the earth plane, and we're still in a body. So, and I have been having these experiences, and I don't know if you guys have. So I'll be having a day, and all of a sudden, like the one day, this happened to me a couple weeks ago. I had this memory of like 7th or 8th grade. I was the kid that never got in trouble. I went to Catholic school. I had like perfect attendance, perfect, conduct. I was like Miss Goody Two Shoes. I was shy, was really what it was, but and didn't disturb the class. Was the good kid. But I got called into a disciplinary thing, and I didn't realize I was getting in trouble. So I got called into this nun's office, and I mean, she had the habit on and everything, and the pastor was there, and they're asking me all these questions about my friends, and I'm just like answering them, and then they're like, well, that did this happen, and did they tell you this? And I'm like, am I in trouble right now? And they were like, well, no, like, now that we hear how everything went down, you're not in trouble. We were just trying to find out. Well, I guess 2 of my friends in my class had like made a bet about like who could kiss this girl. It was this huge deal. And I was friends with all of them, but they thought somehow I knew about it. And so I was called into questioning. And I remember being in the office going, why am I in trouble? Am I going to get a detention? I've never had a detention. I shouldn't get a detention. That was me.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I having this random memory? Like I literally had not thought of this memory since it happened. Yeah. And then later that day, I realized I had this epiphany, and it was a download, right? And I was shown that the reason I was brought that memory is because I'm dealing with something similar in my life right now. So it's a long story, but it has to do with work, my old job, and just some questioning of things and that don't make sense. And I don't want to get into the topic, but I'm like, that's why that's coming up, because I'm like kind of in trouble for something that I didn't even do, and like what? And it totally like misrepresented. And so that's why they took me back to that memory to show me like, yes, like what you're going through now, you're right. Everything you're saying is right. Like this is not real. What has happened is total misinterpretation. You got dragged into something you shouldn't have gotten dragged into. And they were showing me. So life review is happening like right now as we live. So when we pass, we're not going to have to go through as much of a life review, which might be is why spirits are coming through sooner.
Yeah.
And I've been having memories of things, and I've been tying up loose ends with people. I've been feeling lately a lot of call, like to write letters to people that not necessarily I like got in an argument with or like cut out of my life. It's just we kind of drifted apart, you know, almost like a reach out, like to like let them know like our friendship was real. Like that was a wonderful time in my life. I think of you often. I hope all is well. Not really even to like reestablish a friendship or a relationship, but almost just like a, you know, I see how you impacted my life and thank you for being part of my life at that time. You know, people are there for a reason, a season, a lifetime. They're not always there forever. And sometimes, you know, I can look back and think, oh, did I drop the ball? Was this my, no, it kind of morphed into that. So it doesn't always mean it's bad. So I'm noticing life reviews happening now. And I've talked to a lot of people and a lot of clients, and they're telling the same kinds of stories where they're having these memories from like, what and why am I thinking of this now?
Yeah. CMC said 100% life review in the living with small slices of a lifetime at one instance. You know, and I think I've been having that happen for a long time, but I never thought of it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So like moments where you're thinking of things from the past and you're like, why am I thinking of this right now?
Yeah.
Very random. Yeah.
I do that a lot. Yeah. Like kind of reviewing the past. Maybe I got more to go over. I don't know.
Frosty, do you want to read Allison's comment?
Yeah. So Allison, the priestess of Wonderland, said maybe life review while still in the body is part of what will determine which path in the split we go on.
Ooh, I got chills when you said that. Ooh, I like that. I think there's something to be said with that, right?
Yeah.
I do, because there are things that we can take care of now while we're still here and have the opportunity.
Yeah. If we're aware of it. Yeah.
If we're aware of it.
Yeah.
And we have to seek it. We have to ask spirit for it. You know, we have to ask, show me what I'm not seeing. You know, help me be better. Help me do better. For me, you know, I just had this epiphany yesterday, and I'm going to be really vulnerable, you know, and just share it. I got in an argument with my boyfriend, and, you know, it was pretty intense. And I had this moment where I was just like, I could see myself so clearly. And I'd had the same argument with my ex-husband and the guy I dated after him. And I'm like, I'm the problem here. There's something, this is all me. You
were seeing the pattern.
I saw it, I identified it, and I freaking owned it in that moment. I was like, wow.
Many people can't see their patterns at all. That's why it just keeps repeating.
Right. And it was just like, my mind just like exploded. And it's like, those are the kinds of things that I think what she's saying is like, these things come up. What do we do with those things? Do we just say, oh yeah, well, that's just how I am, whatever? No, that's not okay. Like, I need to fix this about me. This is not your problem.
Given the option, you get the option line, Heidi, to fix it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
God
but only if you can figure it out and you're aware of it. Yeah.
Right. It goes back to that whole theme that Frosty said at the beginning. You don't know until you know, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
But you have to seek it out. You have to ask for it, because we all have to be open-minded. And I think that's, you know, what I've been getting a lot from my spirit guides and my downloads is returning back to, for me, it's the word Christ consciousness. You know, I was born and raised Catholic, and a strong relationship with Christianity, obviously, and Jesus and everything that he said. But now in this point in my life, I would consider myself spiritual, not necessarily religious. I don't identify that with that anymore.
Yeah.
But so much of what I learned about Jesus and Christ consciousness, you know, if you change that word to something else, I feel like it would be more universal. When I say that, I never want to leave out anybody or marginalize anybody. And I'm not saying just Christians. I mean, I have Islamic friends, I have Jewish friends, I have friends from all religions. And so I would never want to leave anyone out and use the word Christ consciousness to make somebody feel like, oh, well, I'm not Christian, so I can't relate to that. So I'm trying to, I keep asking my spirit guides, give me another word that I can use, or words I can use.
We have terrible words for everything. Past lives, Christ consciousness, death.
Right.
Like we don't even die.
Right. Exactly. We don't even die. Right. Exactly. Like life is eternal. I mean, that's something I was taught from Catholicism from the time I was 5 years old. And, you know, so it's the same concept, just different verbs. But in any event, we need to return back to kindness, to compassion, to forgiveness, to humility, to humanity. And those are like the 5 words that my guides keep pushing me, and they want me to start using my platform. And that's why I feel like I need to really get back to Scorpio rising, because my Mercury is I'm a Gemini, and my Mercury is in Gemini. You know, I'm just completely, and it was born in retrograde, which is actually really good. So when you're in retrograde, if you were born during a retrograde, you're supposed to be heard and seen and speak. So for me, that's a very powerful time. Yeah, I just learned that. Did you ever hear that before?
No, but Allison was just looking at my chart the other day, and like a whole bunch of my planets were in retrograde.
Yeah.
In this one specific house.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, what is that?
Interesting. Yeah, but I keep being shown that we need to return to compassion, humility, and owning our shit, and like not, sorry if I shouldn't have said that word shit.
Oh, you're fine.
Well,
you just said it again.
Owning our shortcomings and owning our, like, admitting that we're not perfect, and finding out like what do I need to fix, and then really like owning it and fixing it, and allowing that change to permanently be there, and admit when we're wrong goes a long way. So I think
that makes sense with what Allison said. Maybe it's our option to fix it, so that when the time comes, we just flip over to the other side, you know.
I love how she said that. Yeah, thank you for saying that. That was great.
Yeah. So we're down to our last 5 minutes with Heidi.
Yeah, I wanted to get through a couple of more comments.
Okay.
Paula said, thank you. Also, I get what you're now saying. I feel I've had some situations where maybe the score was sort of settled or balanced, if you will, and it cleared the air somehow and made me feel better. And I felt as though I won't have to deal with that in the future, because I've stopped this repetitive action or cycle somehow, which is exactly what we were talking about.
Nice job, Paula.
Yeah, excellent. We have a bunch of other comments in chat here. Do you want to pick up some of them, Jenny? Let's see, starting with Kel there.
Even if we did do it right, it's not the point of it. The wrong things are equally valid. Cause and effect are important. This is what I learned from the entities I talked to.
I love that. Yeah. I see that the same way. I don't know about you, Jenny. Like, I don't see everything. What really helped me was going into the paranormal, because I used to be like love and light and pink and like all like, you know, angels. And I was like scared of the dark or scared of paranormal or all that. And when I finally like faced my fear and then walked into it and was welcomed with open arms, it really helped me realize that not everything is all good and not everything is all bad. Like everything has a little bit of both. And it's
outside of our lower dimensions, there is no good and bad. It's all experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Chico had a great comment too about the patterns. The whole universe is filled with patterns we can learn from. So of course, we too would have patterns we can learn from.
Yes.
And now we're at the last 3 minutes. I wanted you to plug your classes that you're doing, because that's something new you started this year. So you tell everybody a little bit about what you've got going on.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes. So my spirit guides inspired me last year to start a monthly community, and to do it through offering classes to teach people about the basics of spirituality, because I have so many friends in my circle that are very spiritual. But I have a lot of people that I meet on a daily basis through nursing that are not as familiar with spirituality, but they want to learn more. Or I have clients that will come to me and have a lot of questions and want to learn more. And so it was like a real calling to start these classes and create a community where people can learn together and have different levels of people in their experience. So I have people that are extremely spiritual, that it's part of who they are, it's part of the work they do, that they join the classes, and they're good refreshers, and some things they're not as familiar with than others. And then I have people that are newbies, that are total newbies, and are just loving it and just find it fascinating. My mom's actually taking all the classes.
Oh, cool.
And born and raised Catholic, and a lot of this is like new, and she's just like mind blown. She's loving every minute of it. So I've been doing that. It's called Soul Searchers. So if you go to my website's actually being updated right now, but when it is updated, there's going to be a page all about my classes that I offer. We usually meet the first or second Thursday of the month, usually the first Thursday, unless there's something else like a holiday. And we meet from 7 to 9 on Zoom. And then I also have soul coaching that goes along with it. So I can do soul coaching twice a year, so once every 6 months, or I have people that do quarterly. So I have soul coaching that I do with people each quarter. The first time we meet, we come up with goals of, what we want to work on or what we want to work towards. And it's been extremely rewarding, and it keeps growing, and I've got people joining from all over the country. So I would love anybody to check out my website at HeidiKemper.com. And like I said, I'm under construction, but I'll have it all updated for sure by the end of the month. By the end of May, it's supposed to be finished. So
Awesome.
yeah, and we do all sorts of things. Our next class is going to be about manifestation. I have a friend who is, she considers herself the manifesting psychic, and she has her own podcast, The Vortex, and she's going to come on and speak about manifestation, and kind of, because people hear that word and they have so many different ideas of what it is. So she's going to come on, and I have experts come on and speak about different things. I'm going to do a class about the paranormal, so Sam's going to come on.
Yay.
And I did one on like the basics of astrology, so really fun topics, and it's just nice to have that community and that support system. So yeah, we're always looking for more people, and you don't have to sign up for the whole year. You can just drop in, the months that work. Yeah, I found it really fulfilling. So love it.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once again, that is bringing it up here again. That is HEIDI Kemper, KEMPER.com. You can find that link listed down below. If you're listening at another time in another place, that link will be listed down in the description, so you can go there and check that out. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Heidi.
Thank you, guys. I had so much fun. As you know, I could stay on all night, but I got another thing I got to get to. But I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you next month. We're going to be at Belle Grove in Virginia.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing some mediumship development classes with Sam Beltrusis, and some investigating, and it's a beautiful haunted plantation. Like, I'm so excited. So
yes,
yeah,
it's going to be great.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
great.
Well,
All right, I'll
we'll
see you
see
guys
you
soon. Bye, love you
Bye,
guys.
Heidi.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night. Bye, guys.
Oh, sorry, I kicked her off. Sorry, Heidi, I kicked you off.
all right. That was great. I wanted to mention real quick, we had another comment here about there are 3 intelligence levels: artificial, human, and universe. Once you reach that higher level of conscience, you've surpassed the AI and human knowledge. That spirit is in you always. It doesn't mean you're smarter. It means you're more whole with oneself. So another comment from our stream over on Spirit Realm Network.
Nice.
So we've had, well, that was great. I really enjoyed that interview. We did move things around a little bit tonight. What do we want to get into first, Jenny? Do we want to get into the weird news right away or what?
Well, let's reset since it's the top of the hour.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. So, if you've joined us since the beginning of the show, this is the Witching Hours. Tonight we had Heidi Kemper on to talk about, well, we talked about all kinds of things. Namely, we talked about how long does it take for you to be able to talk to people on the other side and what's the nature of the change and the shift that's happening here. We got into a lot of great conversation on that. We do have the links for Heidi listed at the top of the chat, and you can check that out in the descriptions, like I just said, down below. And we're going to go till 9:30, so we have about another 30 minutes or so left in the show, and we wanted to go over a couple other things we have coming up, but I think first it's time to get into the weird news. All right. So,
Poor hosters. He thought he missed the weird news.
yeah. It didn't. We just had to move it around
Just
a
doing
little
it backwards.
bit. Critical Atlantic current is significantly more likely to collapse than previously thought. You know about
What?
this, Jenny.
Say this again.
The critical Atlantic current system
Okay.
appears
The belt.
appears significantly more likely to collapse than previously thought after new research found that climate models predicting the biggest slowdown are the most realistic. Scientists called the new finding very concerning, as a collapse would have a catastrophic consequences for Europe, Africa, and the Americas.
Yes.
The Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation is what it's called, or AMOC. Is a
Can we
major
just call it the belt?
is a major part of the global climate system. If you're not familiar with this, and was already known to be at its weakest for 1,600 years as a result of the climate crisis. Scientists spotted warning signs of a tipping point in 2021 and know that the AMOC, or the Atlantic Belt, has collapsed in Earth's past. So we know this has happened before. Is a major
And
part
you know
of
what happens when it does?
Yeah. Well,
Get an
and so if
ice
you're not
age.
familiar with the Atlantic Belt, what it does is it's a system that brings sun-warmed tropical water from the Caribbean up the coast of the Americas to Europe and to the Arctic, where it cools and then sinks to form a deep return current. A collapse would shift the tropical rainfall belt on which many millions of people rely to grow their food, plunge Western Europe into extreme cold winters and summer droughts, and add about 100 centimeters to already rising sea levels around the Atlantic. In other words, the collapse of this belt could bring about an ice age. Professor Stefan
It's the natural
Rahmstorf,
process of the way our Earth works.
Professor Stefan Rahmstorf at the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research in Germany said this is an important and very concerning result. It shows that the pessimistic models, which show a strong weakening of the AMOC by
Those daggone
2100,
pessimists.
are unfortunately the realistic ones, in that they agree better with the observational data. He added, I am now increasingly worried that we may well pass the shutdown tipping point where it becomes inevitable in the middle of this century, which is quite close. We're looking at possibly up just to 15 years.
Yeah.
When this shuts down. So something that I have heard about since like the very early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s. When you're watching documentaries and stuff, they were talking about this bringing on ice ages. Me and you have been talking about this for decades now.
Yeah. And it happens a lot
it's-
faster than we would like to think that it does.
Yeah. Well,
Because- The Earth knows how to fix itself.
when it shuts down, it can shut down essentially within a very short period of time.
Yes.
So there we go. Story number two, scientists studied the dreams of people who nearly died, and what they found is incredible. Nicole Lindsay of Massey University in New Zealand has been studying NDE since 2018. And in two new studies, Lindsay and her team delved deep into the profound effects of NDEs, or the effects that NDEs can have on individuals throughout their lives, particularly in the realm of dreaming. In the first study published in Journal Dreaming, the researchers interviewed 138 people who had experienced an NDE, 45 people who came close to death but didn't experience an NDE, and 129 people who hadn't experienced either of them, using the Mannheim Dream Questionnaire, a well-known psychological tool used to assess aspects of dreams such as recall, emotional intensity, and lucidity. Lindsay's team discovered that people who experienced NDEs have a greater dream recall and intensity, and interestingly, more positive dreams compared to the non-NDE groups. So now, in a new qualitative study published in the journal Psychology of Consciousness, Theory, Research, and Practice, Lindsay and her colleagues revealed details of how individuals' dreams change drastically following a near-death experience. In one example, a participant named Basil said he could confidently recall one dream every week or two, but after the NDE, that recall became a nightly occurrence. And others reported their dreams became intensely more vivid after an NDE, and that the separation between dreaming and waking was much more ambiguous than it was before. However, in these studies, authors were unable to identify the exact mechanism making dreams appear to be fundamentally altered following an NDE. In other words, it's another mystery of the mind that remains unsolved, or is it?
Well, in the woo-woo world, we like to talk about that we do work in our sleep, where a lot of people do a lot of things in their sleep.
Yeah.
Whether they're astral projecting or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any personal experience with that, really. I don't remember my dreams very well, and when I do, it's usually a nightmare.
Well, that's good to know that you haven't had any unremembered near-death experiences.
Yeah. And I also feel like for the most part, I don't lucid dream, and they're usually just wacky, crazy things that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I haven't had the experience of being able to take dreams as literal as I know some people can, but maybe that's something that will change at some point. I don't know. Story number 3, who knew 1 in 5 Americans are convinced they're psychic? Roughly 49 million adults, about 1 in 5, quietly believe they have psychic abilities.
Quietly.
That's the headline finding from fresh survey data released recently. The figure comes from a Talker Research poll of
and 1 out of those, and 1 out of 15 of those is not quiet about it.
A poll of 2,000 American adults, which set out to map how everyday people use intuition in their decision making. Across the full sample, 19% said they consider themselves psychic. Another 71% said they rely on intuition at least sometimes. Only 11% dismissed the concept entirely. Over the past year alone, the average respondent reported 18 moments they'd chalk up to some kind of psychic flash. The number suggests that belief in a sixth sense hasn't faded alongside the rise of science and smartphones. If anything, it's holding steady, and in some corners of the population, it's growing. So Gen Z leads the pack by a wide margin. 30% of Gen Z respondents consider themselves psychic, and they report roughly 2 intuitive moments per month, double what baby boomers say they experience, and millennials and Gen X fall somewhere in between.
Very interesting. It's kind of harkens back to the conversation we were having with Heidi.
Yeah.
She was recognizing that the young people in her life are more open. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something that I have noticed to a certain extent. So that'll be interesting, especially if we talk about how there are more people being put here for a reason. That's something that we've talked about before. There's more mediums for a specific reason that's going to be needed, And then finally, the last news story.
Before we go into the last news story, Luce had a comment about the sleep and the work, sleep, sleep and work. A lot of times we don't remember the nights we are working, so we could be working and not know.
I used to have a lot of nights where I was working in my dreams, and so I'm just glad I don't remember them, because I would put in a 12-hour shift at a factory while I was sleeping at night, and then have to go in and work a 12-hour shift at a factory. It was no fun.
That's different than what we're talking about. But no,
that's the dreams I have.
I've had many of those dreams too. Why? Actually, that was my very first lucid dream. I was having a dream that I was at work, and at the time I worked as in a craft store, and I was at the register, and there was a woman who was being extremely difficult in the dream,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized I was dreaming, and I threw all of her crap on the floor. And I was like, "This isn't real." It was my first lucid dream, and it was fantastic.
There you go.
Okay, last news story.
Last news story. David Wilcock, paranormal YouTuber and writer, dies by suicide at the age of 53.
Oh, I saw this, but I didn't realize it was suicide. And
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with who he is. Can you tell us
So,
more
well,
about who he is?
Getting ready to. David Wilcock,
I knew you were.
a paranormal content creator and author, died in an apparent suicide on April 20th. He was 53. Wilcock had amassed hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube and Facebook, where he would detail his claims, often in live streams. He also authored several books, two of which, The Source Field Investigations and The Synchronicity Key, were New York Times bestsellers. And this is probably where you would know him from. Wilcock also regularly appeared on the History Channel show Ancient Aliens, which
Okay.
explores popular conspiracy theories, including Atlantis and other lost ancient civilizations. On April 18th, Wilcock shared in a post on X that he had some intense stuff going over the weekend and wasn't sure if he would be doing a show the next day.
Dang.
He said, quote, "Always remember that the creator is within and we live in a loving universe," he wrote. "I'm very grateful to you for all of your love, care, and support." So that was
Jeez.
his last message.
So he knew he was doing it, that's for sure.
Yeah. But just sad to see someone who, enjoyed discussion of the paranormal and mysteries and all of those things to leave a lot of fans and family and things like that behind. So,
Yeah, I knew his face looked very familiar to me, but I didn't know where I had seen him before, and I didn't recognize his name.
I haven't watched Ancient Aliens in a long time. We used to watch that show a lot, and I know that I had seen him, and that's probably where that was. And that was tonight's weird news.
That's some weird news.
All right.
Well, let's talk about something else that's weird. That would be Team Weird Takeover. Team Weird Takeover 2026 is coming quickly. Join us this year at the Lord Baltimore Hotel in Baltimore, Maryland, June 27th and 28th. Be joined by many amazing guests and you, Team Weird. You can buy your tickets now for $60 at thewitchinghourspodcast.com. Click on the merch button and it'll take you to where you can purchase your ticket. And we have a little sneak peek at the schedule of the Team Weird Takeover. It's pretty much finalized, the schedule of the day, the weekend. There may be some things that get a little switched up before we actually have the Team Weird Takeover in 2 months. It's exactly 2 months from today.
Oh, it is. I didn't even realize
2 months
exactly
from today. We will be in Baltimore, Maryland with many of our weirdos and all of the wonderful people that Frosty's about to tell us about in this schedule.
Yeah, so obviously everything is subject to change. We're trying to balance this out the best we can so that we have plenty of time to be able to hang out and for everyone in Team Weird to be able to meet and greet and just have time to be able to talk. But the way we have it now, we're going to start at 10 o'clock on Saturday, June 27th. We're going to do some weird news to get everything kind of kicked off, as well as protection circle and kind of get prepared for the investigation that's going to happen later that night. Andrew Warburton is going to join us, and he's going to give a talk on fairies of the four elements. We're going to be joined by our friend Kim Sage, who is going to give a talk on grief is a spiritual awakening if we let it be. Once again, kind of talking about what we were discussing with Heidi tonight. Of course, Kim is a death doula, as well as a gifted psychic medium. So then we're going to be joined by Irene Kelouise, who is going to do a medium gallery reading. She did a gallery reading at Team Weird Takeover last year and did an absolutely amazing job.
Yeah.
So
I think everybody that was there ended up getting a little something.
Yeah. And so that's always amazing to watch. So we're really happy to have Irene back with us again this year. Our very own Allison, the Priestess of Wonderland, is going to be having a class called Using and Connecting to Your Crystals. So for all of you who want to know a little bit more about crystals or discuss crystals and talk about them, we're going to have Priestess of Wonderland there to do that class. We're going to do a group dinner that night. The plan is to make reservations at the hotel, which has a very nice restaurant there, to be able to have dinner and hang out and enjoy each other's company. And then we're going to be joined by our very own medium Jenny Lee to do a spirit
Who?
channeling of the Lord Baltimore Hotel,
Huh?
which should be very interesting,
Yes.
on which you can pick up one. Because we know that the hotel is notoriously haunted, but like many haunted locations, there's not a lot of details for this one. And the ones I do know, obviously, I'm not really saying anything about, but I'll say that I'm just kind of looking forward to see where our investigation takes us and what kind of stuff people pick up on over there. And we got the perfect group of people to start figuring that stuff out. We're going to know something by the time we get out of there. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. We're going to know a lot of somethings.
And then our friend Sam Baltrusis will be joining us, and he is going to lead a seance, which we call the Samance, which we're going to have a participation in the room that we have where we can, if you want to participate, we're going to have an old-fashioned seance at the Lord Baltimore Hotel before we begin our investigation of the hotel, which will include the conference room that we're in. I think I've maybe against Jenny's wishes said that we were possibly going to leave our room open for an investigation that night.
No, I'm cool with that.
And then we also have the lobby of the hotel. If you're not familiar with the Lord Baltimore Hotel, it was built in the 1920s. It's in downtown Baltimore, and it's a French Renaissance style, like revival, that was built in the 1920s.
The architecture's French Renaissance.
It's a beautiful building on the inside, so we're looking forward to it. It's going to be great, and then we're going to finish it off with just some time to hang out and have some coffee and after we get our sleep in the night before, to be able to hang out a little bit before people need to take off in the morning.
And we do have a block of rooms that are discounted if you would like to spend the night at the haunted hotel. But if you're not wanting to spend the night in a potentially haunted room, although Luce wants the most haunted room, you can always spend the night somewhere else that's close by. But we do have a link on the website for those discounted tickets, room discounted rooms.
Mhm.
They're not tickets.
Yeah.
They're rooms.
Yeah, I think the rooms are the rooms for the discounted price are right around $150 and some change, which to be
isn't
honest,
bad for a hotel like that. Yeah.
for a nice hotel, that's not a bad price, because we were just going out of town and some motels were wanting that much. So it's not a bad price for a pretty nice stay and a pretty cool hotel. And this year, Teamwear Takeover is going to feature running water and bathrooms. So yeah, all the bases
Upgrade
covered.
from Lake Shawnee. Last
there we
year
go.
we went rough and rugged. This year we're going with the schwanky stuff.
Yeah.
Hoaxers said he built the hotel. Hoaxers, I didn't realize that you were that old. How old are you? Like 150? I don't believe it.
Right. So yeah,
Lisa,
we're looking forward to it. It keeps getting
was
closer
tough.
and closer. Yeah, that was tough.
It was so much fun though. Even though it was interesting. North said, "Don't forget to tip the ghosties."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, now Hoaxers is a vampire. A good vampire doesn't give out his age. Oh, that's what's going on with Hoaxers. Okay. I get it now.
He left me there on the banks of the Mississippi, somewhere between life and death. Yeah. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. there are tickets remaining. So if you think you can make it out that weekend, feel free to jump in there and come join us at Team Weird Takeover at the Lord Baltimore Hotel in Baltimore, Maryland.
I'm getting excited about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool.
Now that I've seen the schedule and like really understanding who's going to be there, and
yeah, it's
and
gonna be
all of
fun.
our friends,
It's just gonna be fun.
all of our friends that are going to be coming.
We just
Yeah.
like we have some great people coming, and we did that on purpose.
Yes.
Sam is always fun to hang out with at Paracons.
Yep.
He's going to be a great time. We're going to have him on the show here soon, so we'll get to talk a little bit about what we're going to do with Sam. Andrew Warburton, who's been on the show, is absolutely fantastic, and right now is has written multiple books and is getting ready to come out with another book on fairies.
His new book is coming out, Appalachian Fairies.
And the great thing about it is, Allison is going to be there, and Kim Sage is going to be there, and Danica and Irene are going to help lead the investigation that night. And they have all kinds of paranormal
They have so much
investigative
equipment.
tools, equipment.
Yeah.
Kim Sage has offered to help lead.
She's a seasoned investigator as well.
And she investigates the Fredericksburg Paranormal, so she does lots of paranormal investigations. So we're going to have lots of experience there. So if you don't have experience, that's fine, because you're going to have someone that can give you something and show you how to use it and investigate with you. But the main thing I was going to say there is the great part is all these wonderful guests that we have on the show that we've become friends with. We're all gonna be there together like all day, so you have a chance to talk to Andrew about fairies if you want to talk to Andrew about fairies.
Our people, our Team Weird people,
to hang out
there,
talk. Yeah, no, it's gonna be great.
Some who got to come last year, and some who didn't get to come last year.
Some who didn't get to come last
and
year.
new friends too. So it's really exciting.
Yeah,
Luce is making sure that they're packing their good looks. Put it in the suitcase.
I have to bring a little bit more than that, but we'll be okay.
Yay.
So there we go. Yeah.
All right.
A great time.
Well, I think that's about it for tonight's Witching Hours.
Yeah, let's go over who we have coming up, because we haven't been able to talk about our schedules a whole lot. So going forward into the spring here, we're going to have James Krug on next week, who is the director of MUFON for Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool.
He's also an astronomer, and he runs a planetarium. So not only is he very knowledgeable about space, but he is also very knowledgeable about the UFO phenomena. So
that will be an excellent person to pair up with May's moon update from Allison next week too.
And we didn't even realize this, like we mentioned it when we were working with Keisha to book him, but it just happens to be on May the 4th.
Oh yeah, May the 4th be with you.
We get to do a space show on May the 4th. We're going to have Holly Hall, who has a show on the Spirit Realm Network on the 11th.
Fellow Spirit Realm Network.
Yeah, so we're going to have Holly on, and we're going to talk about mediumship and
the talent of the Spirit Realm Network.
And then going into the weekend before Belgrove Plantation, which we should mention also, we're going to have Sam Baltrusis and Kim Sage on the same night.
That's going to be cool.
We'll be able to talk about Team Weird Takeover. We'll be able to talk about the Belgrove Plantation,
which Heidi's going to be there. Which I didn't see that Heidi was going to be there until recently.
Yeah, so we get to see
I
Heidi
think
again.
that was the last minute that he snatched her up for it. So yeah, and I'll be there teaching an art and having an art class, which is really exciting.
So I was going to say, that's something to check in on. The last time I heard, there were still tickets available, but they were getting low. So if you're in the area, you want to go to a really cool haunted plantation. Belgrove is the place to go. Birthplace of the father of the Constitution, James Madison. So a cool historical place and a cool paranormal place. We have been there before on the outside. Actually, that's the first time I got to take your phone that day.
Yep.
And I took people for a tour, and I hadn't
Stage
really.
Paracon.
Yeah, I hadn't started doing anything yet when we were doing that. So, so that's gonna be a fun time. And then to end May, we're gonna have Viviana on to talk, the Dragon Mystic, to talk about dragons.
our second dragon person.
Hmm.
I'm very excited about. Actually, I know I didn't say this out loud to anybody, but the other day, it was when it was when you made me watch that awful video about the energy weapons. See, this could be a whole nother episode of the Witching Hours.
60 minutes. Yeah, that was crazy.
You made me watch that awful 60 minutes thing about the energy weapons. When we were
Mhm.
watching that, I was getting very upset, and I was like, I won't go into all of it because we're supposed to be getting off. But I had a dragon behind me when that was happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Can we use dragons to take out the energy weapons?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know that sounds completely crazy, but I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, because when I was very upset about it, and I was like, I feel like energy could be we could use energy against the energy weapons.
Mhm.
Us woo woo people that know how to use energy. There all of a sudden my dragon, because I do have a dragon, was behind me, and I was like, okay, yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's very interesting. And I guess for those who don't know what we're talking about, there was a 60 Minutes episode that was talking about Havana syndrome and the energy weapons that are being used on like American secret people, CIA people who are
Mhm.
running secret programs, which we can't get too far down the rabbit hole because we got to go. But one of the missing
Yeah.
scientists who was working on anti-gravity said that she was being attacked with energy weapons, and this is all out now. So this
And
is something that
it
we
was a
know that's
60
happening.
minutes episode.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
not woo woo things, people. This is the real deal.
Well, the woo woo is the real deal, right?
I know, but like for the skeptics out there who think that we're just making stuff up,
Mhm.
this was a 60 minutes episode.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
people are interested, I can put a link in Discord if anybody wants to see it. But we have reached the end of the night.
Yep.
It is 9:30 on the East Coast. Thank
Dragons.
you everybody for joining us. I do want to give a shout out and thanks to Luce for resubscribing for 2 months. Thank you so much, Luce, for the sub. We appreciate it so much. Appreciate you so much for all that you do. Thank you to each and every one of you for hanging out with us tonight and joining us with our talk with Heidi. Let me see who we have on tonight. Earlier Sheepy was on, and she
Sheepy
is still on.
yes, she's still on. She hasn't been
yeah,
able
so-
to stream in a really long time.
Yeah, she is. She's doing some editing for her narration, audiobook narration.
Oh, could be spicy. Children, go to bed.
So we're gonna rate out. We will see you all again on Monday. You'll be doing your streams this week, right, Jenny?
Yes, unless something crazy happens, I'll be on Thursday for art night and Friday for reading night.
All right. We're sending you guys off. Go say hi to Sheepy. Throw those UFOs and Bigfoots in chat if you got them, and we'll see you all next time. Good night, everybody.